So this is means a demonstration video how to replace your alternator on your 2009 93 diesel, 150 horsepower that is. But I just wanted to document something here and actually tell you it's actually pretty straightforward. I'm gonna tell you what I did to do this. I got out the alternator just now and it's a tight squeeze, but you can get it out, no problems at all. So my car, I have relocated the ECU inside the engine bay, so this wiring harness is stuck in the engine bay, but it usually travels down there. So what I did was this: I disassembled the cable tie and stuff that's holding this in place, put it behind the lift point here on the engine, and pretty much there's some cable ties you have to cut and stuff. Also had to remove this bracket with this cable harness on, because this cable harness is kind of broken, so I had to do some thingies here to repair it, 93 life. Other than that, I had to disassemble some cable ties down here to move this wiring harness out of the way. And then it was actually just to remove the two E18 E-torques that holds the alternator in place, but also removing this bracket here that sits actually right here and drops down and holds in the alternator. So it's just like a air like that, like down, like, holding the alternator in place. So I had to remove that as well to get a little more wiggle room. You could probably do it without, but I just removed it because it was easy to remove. Also, I have a jack underneath the engine. I lifted up the engine slightly and moved the engine about this far forward. And that's all I needed to actually get it out. It's very tight. You're going to squeeze these wiring harnesses on its way out, and you're also going to rub here on its way out. So it's a good thing if you have a touch of paint or something, just to touch up that, so make sure it doesn't rust, because 93 they rust. So now it's just a matter of actually dropping in this one. Let's see if I can actually get it in there with only one hand, without putting down the phone. This also has a diesel auxiliary heater, so that also takes up a lot of space. Just moving that away, and there you go. That's how easy that was. Now it's a matter of just bolting it in, and there's no airs or something. It doesn't get stuck like on the 9000s does, because it's on the 9000 the alternator is actually sandwiched between a bracket like that. Same down here. And what happens is this here up does not have that, but I do believe on the 9.5, and actually this also has it. It has a sleeve inside the mounting point that actually tightens when you tighten the bolt, so it kind of holds the alternator in place tighter, and that can make it tricky to remove if it's installed in the car, especially in the 9000, since it's like down there, But in this case, it was actually way easier to remove actually the alternator itself from the engine, no problems at all, just because it doesn't have those expansion thingies that holds it in place. But this only, I believe this only applies to the what is this? What is this called? The X19 DTH or something? I don't know, something like that. The diesel engine with 150 horsepower and 16 valves, the single turbo one. If you have the twin turbo model, I believe it should be pretty much the same procedure, because the engine itself is the same, or the block is the same shape. The only part that's different is in here. On the 120 horsepower 8 valve, I believe there's a little more space behind to work on it, but I believe that one has a sleeve or airs that holds it in like that, if I'm not mistaken. I saw some videos on YouTube on that, and I believe that's the case on the 8 valve. But on the 16 valve versions, you don't have that. It repairs. So yeah, this should be pretty straightforward to bolt back in. I have to bolt back in this bracket here to have something to hang it on, and that should be pretty easy. Just tighten it back in here. Not going to tighten all the way yet, because it also has the threads are here. So, but you're actually putting on this just to make sure you hang the alternator on something. So you use the longest bolt for that. See if you can... Actually, what I'm going to do before I hang up the alternator is actually attach the positive cable for the alternator. And the alternator does not have a negative ground. It only has a positive and a signal, or a control wire, to tell the alternator, now you can charge, now you cannot charge, you know. So you actually, this is the modulator, when you call it, the control unit. So main power here, the 12 volt, it's a pretty thin cable on the 9.3. Here we go, there's that. And on it is also the signal wire, only has one single lead on it. And that's pretty much it. The alternator gets its ground from the fasteners or the bolts. So no need to attach a ground to the alternator. If you're of course building something big like a stereo or something like that, it would be a good idea to attach extra grounds to the engine. But not necessarily the alternator. The alternator may be a bigger positive wire, but that's pretty much it. The 9.3s are pretty sensitive on their voltage system, or on their electronic system. So if they have a voltage drop, you will notice. So yeah, but yeah, I'm gonna stuff this back in. Pretty straightforward, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Easy, actually surprisingly easy to replace the alternator on this thing. There were so many people saying you have to move that and that, you have to drop that, you have to remove that. And in this case, it was not a problem at all. Many people also told me I will have an issue if I have the auxiliary heater, which is there. But wasn't a problem at all. And that's the water pump there. Yeah, that's the water pump from the auxiliary heater. I believe the fan for it is somewhere else. I know it doesn't work anymore. It starts and stops, and starts and then stops again, and will not run. So I believe it's because of a dirty fan in there, or blower, or whatever it's called, well, whatever's in there. So yeah, put back on the positive signal wire. I'm putting on last because that's a very sensitive wire. And why are those things disconnected? Those are the DPF connections, and they are not connected. Maybe it actually has a DPF delete, this car. Yeah, here are the wires. I didn't remove those. The car runs just fine. Does that mean I can just straight pipe this thing? Maybe I can. Let's see what I do. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Bolting it back in, and it should be good to go. The alternator is the tightener, or the belt tensioner, is fastened with a 15, which is really weird. So I used a 15 to loosen the tensioner, and the tensioner goes. Let's see, what way does that go? I believe it lifted it up to remove it, or down. I don't know. I can't remember. I lifted up, yeah, because it pivots that way down. I believe. Something. I don't know. It's weird. It's strange. I don't know. But it should be pretty straightforward, of course, as I said. I don't know if you can actually move the alternator without moving the engine slightly forward. You don't have to remove any other range mounts than these bolts here. There are 3 E18 bolts, or hold on, 16 millimeters. There you go. These things. Holding that in. So those are pretty easy to get to. You have to just remove the gearbox and the airbox. And that's pretty much it. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I hope this helps you replacing, or understanding replacement of your alternator on at least a left-hand drive 9.3 16 valve diesel. So yeah, thanks for watching.